Jensen Ackles. For most people, that name means one thing: a leather jacket, a classic car, a guy who hunts demons and would walk into hell for the people he loves. And for 15 years, that was enough. More than enough. Supernatural ran for 15 seasons, built one of the most loyal fan bases in television history, and turned Jensen Ackles into a household name. But here's the thing about being really, really good at playing the hero. Eventually, the industry stops asking if you can be anything else. When the show ended in 2020, Jensen Ackles was beloved, respected, and quietly invisible to the people who decide what comes next. Hollywood had filed him under Dean Winchester and left it there. No big film deal, no franchise built around him, just a guy who used to be on that show. And then he played a villain, not just any villain, a World War II superhero with the emotional range of a hand grenade and the self-awareness of a man who has never once been told no. A character the show was actively telling you to hate, and the internet lost its mind. Clips everywhere, fan edits, the whole thing. His name is Soldier Boy. And if you already know exactly what that means, and you do, then you already know where Jensen Ackles is standing right now. Not bad for the guy Hollywood thought it had figured out. This is the story of how an actor spent 15 years being everyone's favorite good guy, and then became the villain nobody could stop rooting for. This is Jensen Ackles. In 1997, Jensen Ackles joined the cast of Days of Our Lives as Eric Brady. Now, soap operas have a reputation, and for a long time, soap opera actor was basically a ceiling, not a launching pad. The genre chews through actors. It demands volume. You film 5 days a week. You memorize pages and pages of dialogue. You cry on cue. You argue in hospital hallways. You reunite with people who were presumed dead. It's relentless. But for a young actor still learning the craft, it's also an incredible training ground. Every single day is a scene. Every single day is a chance to figure out how to make something feel real under conditions that are inherently artificial. Ackles thrived there. He was nominated 3 times for the Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Younger Actor in 1998, 1999, and 2000. He didn't win, but he did take home a Soap Opera Digest Award for Best Male Newcomer in 1998. The nominations meant the work was landing, people noticed. He stayed on the show until 2000, 3 years, and in that time he was doing what every smart actor in that position does, using the security of the steady work to start reaching for something else. In 2000, Jensen Ackles joined Dark Angel. If you don't remember the show, here's the setup. It was a James Cameron sci-fi series set in a near-future Seattle after some kind of electromagnetic pulse wiped out most of the country's infrastructure. The lead was Jessica Alba, playing a genetically engineered super soldier trying to live a normal life while being hunted by the government. It was high concept, ambitious, and visually unlike anything else on network television at the time. Jensen Ackles first appeared in a single season 1 episode as Ben, a dangerous, unstable super soldier who had gone completely off the rails. 1 episode. But the producers were so impressed with what he did with it that they built an entirely new character for season 2 specifically so he could come back. That character was Alec McDowell, Ben's clone. Same face, completely different psychological makeup. Where Ben had cracked under the pressure of what he was, Alec had found a kind of detached, self-serving equilibrium. And the character, on paper, was a bit of a jerk. Charming, yes, funny, sure, but kind of selfish, kind of morally complicated. Someone who made the lead's life harder before he eventually made it better. Sound familiar? Because looking back, Alec is basically a test run for a character we'd meet a few years later. Ackles brought something specific to Alec that made him work. He found the humor inside the arrogance. He made a character who could have been grating into someone audiences actually wanted more of. That's not easy. A lot of actors can play the charming rogue. Very few can make you root for the charming rogue when the charming rogue is actively making the hero's life worse. The show got canceled after 2 seasons. That's the brutal math of television. You can do everything right and still get canceled. But something important happened inside those 2 seasons. Jensen Ackles figured out what he was. Not a soap actor, not a pretty face doing lines on a studio set. He was a character actor who happened to be conventionally attractive, which in Hollywood is actually one of the harder combinations to navigate, because the industry tends to use the attractiveness and ignore everything underneath it. He was about to spend 15 years fighting that tendency, and mostly winning. before Supernatural. Ackles kept working, and the variety of what he took on tells you a lot about what kind of actor he wanted to be. In 2003, he joined the final season of Dawson's Creek as CJ, Jen Lindley's love interest. Small role, big show, another rep credit in the bank. Then came Smallville in 2004, where he played Jason Teague, the assistant football coach and new love interest for Lana Lang, played by Kristen Kruk. It was a season-long arc. Morally complicated, a character with secrets and an agenda underneath the charm. Starting to see a pattern yet? He also did theater. In 2007, he performed on stage at Casa Mañana Theater in Fort Worth, Texas, alongside Lou Diamond Phillips in A Few Good Men, playing Lieutenant Daniel Kaffee, the lead, his professional stage debut. Critics praised him. The Supernatural fandom drove hours to see it. And then, something that doesn't come up enough, he did My Bloody Valentine 3D in 2009. A horror film. He played the lead. The movie made over $50 million on a modest budget. It was a box office success, not a cult thing, not a festival darling. An actual mainstream hit. That mattered. It proved he could carry a film. Hollywood just wasn't paying close enough attention. He also quietly built a voice acting resume. Batman, Under the Red Hood. In 2010, he voiced Jason Todd, the Red Hood, critically praised, loved by the DC animation fanbase. He went on to voice Batman himself in Batman, The Long Halloween, Legion of Superheroes, and Justice League Warworld. The man has voiced Batman multiple times, and somehow that still doesn't come up enough. All of this happened before Supernatural consumed the next 15 years, but it mattered. It shaped him. It gave him range that the industry then systematically ignored in favor of associating him entirely with one role. In 2005, Eric Kripke created a show about two brothers who drive across America fighting demons and saving people. The pitch was deceptively simple. The execution was anything but. The show was called Supernatural. Ackles was cast as Dean Winchester, the older brother, the one with the car, the one with the leather jacket, the one who hid everything real about himself behind a wisecrack and a smile. Jared Padalecki was cast as Sam, the younger brother, the more academically driven one, the one who wanted a normal life, even when the supernatural wouldn't let him have it. What made Dean Winchester work, what made him one of the most compelling characters in the history of network television, was a specific contradiction that Ackles played with total commitment for 15 seasons. Dean was tough on the surface and quietly devastated underneath. He would joke when he was breaking, he would deflect when he was drowning. He expressed vulnerability in every possible way except by actually saying he was vulnerable. That's not a simple character to play, and it's absolutely not a simple character to sustain. Most actors can hit that note once, in a movie, in a single season. You build to it, you deliver the emotional climax, you move on. Ackles had to find that note again and again and again, season after season, for 15 years, without it feeling like a trick he was pulling, without it going stale. He never let it go stale. The early seasons of Supernatural were monster of the week television, with a strong serialized mythology underneath. The show found its audience through word of mouth, through conventions, through a fan base that became genuinely one of the most passionate in the history of fandom. The Supernatural fandom is not a casual thing. These are people who have the show tattooed on their bodies, people who named their children after characters, people who traveled across continents to spend a weekend at a convention, and Jensen Ackles stood at the center of all of it for 15 years, and he showed up for every single one of them. That matters. It's easy to be a fan favorite when you're hot. When the show is new and everyone wants a piece of it, it's much harder to maintain genuine affection over a decade and a half. The way Ackles treated the fandom, the respect he brought to it, the consistency he brought to it, became as much a part of his legacy as any specific performance. But here's where it gets complicated. Supernatural made Jensen Ackles famous. It also built walls around him. The industry is terrible at seeing past the thing you're known for. That's not a controversial statement, it's just how it works. You become associated with a character, and for a lot of casting directors, that's where the thinking stops. Dean Winchester becomes the filter that every potential role gets run through. Is this guy a leading man? No, he's Dean Winchester. Is he a villain? No, he's Dean Winchester. During the Supernatural years, Ackles had some opportunities to stretch. He directed several episodes of the show, quietly and effectively, without making a big thing of it. He did theater. He formed Radio Company with his longtime friend Steve Carlson in 2018, a real band releasing real albums that actual people actually listen to. He was producing things. He was building things. He was doing the work that serious artists do when they want their career to last past the thing that currently defines them. But Hollywood wasn't really watching any of that. Hollywood was waiting for Supernatural to end so they could figure out where to put him. And when the show finally did end in November 2020, after 15 seasons and 327 episodes, one of the longest runs in the history of American genre television, the answer Hollywood came up with was not much. That's the honest truth. The post-Supernatural landscape for Jensen Ackles did not produce the obvious next chapter. There was no immediate film deal. No new show built around him from the ground up. The industry kind of shrugged. The fan base did not shrug. The fan base was in genuine mourning. They had followed these characters across 15 years, and the goodbye hit hard. Ackles and Padalecki acknowledged that. They honored it. But professionally, Ackles was in the position that a lot of long-running television actors find themselves in. Loved, known, respected, and somehow still underestimated. He needed a role that would break the association. Something that would make the industry, and maybe even some audience members, see something they didn't know was there. He found it in the most unexpected way possible. But first, give him credit for not sitting still. While the boys' conversation was developing, Ackles was already moving. In 2022, he joined Big Sky on ABC as Bo Arlen, a temporary sheriff. The role was good enough that the show made him a series regular for season 3. Then came appearances on the CBS action drama Tracker starting in 2024, playing Russell Shaw, Coulter Shaw's estranged older brother, a role that kept expanding the more the show's producers wrote for him, and in 2025, he took his biggest post-Supernatural swing yet, the lead-in Countdown on Amazon Prime Video, a crime thriller where he played LAPD detective Mark Meacham at the center of a covert task force racing to stop a terror attack on Los Angeles. The show got canceled after one season. That's the brutal math of streaming, same as it is anywhere else. But Ackles himself called it one of the best experiences of his career and said losing it was a genuine bummer. That reaction tells you something. He wasn't phoning anything in. He was fully invested every single time. So when people say Ackles was just waiting around after Supernatural, that's not quite right. He was working. He was swinging. He was taking real risks on real projects. He just hadn't found the role that would redefine the conversation yet. Then came Soldier Boy. In 2022, Jensen Ackles appeared on The Boys as Soldier Boy. If you've seen the show, you already know what that means. If you haven't, The Boys is an Amazon Prime series set in a world where superheroes exist, are corporate products, and are mostly terrible human beings. The show is a satire. It's dark, it's violent, it's funny in a deeply uncomfortable way. It uses the superhero genre to say things about American culture, about masculinity, about power, that most media isn't willing to say directly. Soldier Boy is the original American superhero, a World War II legend, the guy whose face was on posters, the guy everyone was supposed to look up to. He is also, to put it charitably, a nightmare of a person. He's vain, he's cruel, he has the emotional development of a toddler with nuclear capabilities. He was shaped by an era that rewarded toxic behavior in men and called it strength, and he has never, not for 1 second, been asked to examine that. He is the worst version of a certain kind of American masculinity made literal, given powers, and pointed at the world. Jensen Ackles played him with complete commitment. That's what made it work. A lesser actor would have played Soldier Boy as a cartoon villain. Big and loud and obviously bad, so the audience always knows where they stand. Ackles did something much more dangerous. He played him as someone who genuinely believes he's the hero, who genuinely believes the world wronged him, who genuinely believes the rules apply to everyone except him. And not out of selfishness, but out of some deep, broken conviction that he earned that exemption. He made Soldier Boy sympathetic in a way that the show actively did not want you to feel comfortable about. Ackles said in interviews around the time that he understood what it felt like to watch fans root for a character who was clearly doing terrible things. He compared it to the show's main villain, Homelander, another monster audiences can't quite look away from. He talked about how both characters are, underneath all the power and the violence, just deeply damaged men passing their damage forward because nobody ever stopped the cycle. That's not a light observation. That's an actor who did the emotional homework on a character most people would have skimmed the surface of. The internet responded the way the internet responds when something lands. Soldier Boy clips went everywhere. Fan edits, reaction videos. The character became a cultural moment, which again, the show was specifically designed to make you feel weird about. Ackles leaned into it, not recklessly, not cynically. He leaned into it the way an actor who finally has something real to play leans into it, with genuine pleasure. Here's the thing that makes Soldier Boy genuinely interesting beyond just being a good performance. Ackles spent 15 years playing Dean Winchester, a character who is, at his core, a deeply traditional masculine archetype. Strong, protective, self-sacrificing, emotionally repressed. The kind of hero that a certain generation grew up thinking was the definition of a man. Dean Winchester is not a bad character. He's a great character. But he represents a version of masculinity that the culture has spent a lot of the last decade examining pretty hard. Then Ackles walks into The Boys and plays the deconstruction of that exact archetype. Soldier Boy is what Dean Winchester might have become in a world where the damage never got addressed, where the self-sacrifice curdled into self-importance, where the repression became violence, where the strength became a weapon turned on everyone around him. It's not accidental. Eric Kripke, the creator of The Boys, also created Supernatural. He knows exactly what Jensen Ackles represents to an audience. He knows the cultural shorthand that comes attached to that face, that voice, that specific kind of presence, and he used it. Casting Ackles as Soldier Boy was a choice that only works if the audience brings their history with him into the room. And they did. Of course they did. That's a kind of layered storytelling that almost never happens, where an actor's entire career becomes part of the text of the performance, where who he was before is actively part of what you're seeing now, and Ackles pulled it off completely. The Boys Season 5 premiered in April 2026, the show's final season, and Soldier Boy came back. Soldier Boy, still alive, still cryogenically frozen, a wild card pointed at a world that had only gotten more broken since he last saw it. The internet lost its mind, as expected. Season 5 delivered on that setup. Ackles returned with the same controlled chaos he brought to Season 3, but with more room, more screen time, more of the character's contradictions on full display. The season forced Soldier Boy into proximity with other characters in ways that made his particular kind of damage unavoidable to look at. Ackles by this point was more confident in the role. You could feel it. First time around, there's always some element of proving something. By the return, he wasn't proving anything to anyone. He was just playing the character fully, without apology. The Supernatural reunion that happened in Season 5's 5th episode, Padalecki playing Mr. Marathon, Collins playing Malchemical, both sharing scenes with Ackles' Soldier Boy, was one of the most talked about moments of the television year. Ackles called it a minor mental adjustment, working with people he'd known for 15 years in a completely different context. Different costumes, different characters, different show, but the same people. He said, at the end of the day, they're professionals. They got there, and watching it, you believe him. The response to Season 5 confirmed what Season 3 had already started to suggest. Jensen Ackles was not just surviving the post-supernatural landscape, he was defining it on his own terms. And here's where it gets really interesting. Vought Rising. The announcement came while The Boys was still running. A prequel series set in the 1950s focused on Soldier Boy before the cryo freeze, before the modern world, when he was still in his prime, still the top dog. Ackles is not a supporting player in this one. He is the center. The show is built around him, and around Aya Cash, who returns as Stormfront, known in this era as Clara Vought. Both of them are leads. Both are executive producers. This isn't a show that was handed to Ackles. He helped build it. The official description calls it a twisted murder mystery about the origins of Vought in the 1950s, the early exploits of Soldier Boy, and the diabolical moves of a woman the audience knows as Stormfront before anyone knew what she really was. That's a loaded premise, two morally broken characters in their prime before the damage fully calcified. That's the show. So there you have it. Jensen Ackles, the career, the pivot, and what comes next. Who's your favorite version of Jensen Ackles? Dean Winchester, Soldier Boy, or something else entirely? Drop it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this one, hit the like button and subscribe. We do these deep dives every week. And until next time, have a good one.